Welcome everyone to the ninth round of the Tata Steel Masters 2026. We have Praggnanandhaa coming in on the board. Pragg has had a tough tournament here. He is on 3 points out of 8. He lost the first 2 rounds and then drew 6 games in a row. And now he faces his good friend Aravindh Chithambaram here. And Pragg was about to make his first move there. This, dear friends, is the ambit recap of the day. Pragg opens the game with pawn to d4. And we're waiting for Aravindh to enter in. Aravindh usually comes a bit late to the game, and Pragg, you can see he adjusts all his pieces, presses the clock. Aravindh arrives, a handshake there. And let's see what Aravindh responds back with to d4. Pragg and Aravindh train in the same chess academy in Chennai, the Chess Gurukul Academy by Grandmaster R.B. Ramesh. So very good friends of each other, have grown up together. I'm pretty sure they would not enjoy playing each other. But such is the nature of top level chess. Your friends become your rivals on the board, and then they become friends once again when the game is over. Pawn to c4 and e6 played. Pragg goes knight to f3. And Aravindh now thinking about what approach he should take. He plays the solid pawn to d5. Presses the clock. And now will Pragg go for g3 here? He goes for the very simple knight to c3. The queen's gambit declined, and Aravindh plays the Ragozin with bishop to b4. And Pragg now takes on d5. And the best way is to take back e takes d5 here. He takes it. And now you can play bishop to g5. He first gives a check. The bishop is hanging, so knight c6 is forced. He brings his knight out. And now bg5. Interesting thing is whether Pragg will go for bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, and these knight e4 lines which can get very sharp. He chooses to just take on f6. And this is the more positional approach. Queen takes f6. You have a very stable structure in the center. You play pawn to e3. You bring your bishop out either to e2 or d3. You castle. And in a way, one can say that black has the bishop pair, but slightly misplaced pieces. You don't want a knight on c6. You would rather have a pawn here, but then the bishop is hanging. So first rook d8 played. This is a good move because now you defend d5. Bishop comes out to d3. And he goes bishop g4, putting pressure on the knight. The knight cannot move ahead, so bishop goes back and defends the knight on f3. And now Aravindh comes back, bishop f5, taking control of this important diagonal. White castles here. And bishop f8. This was played so that now the bishop pair remains here for black. Queen comes to b5. Pragg is putting pressure on b7. And queen e6 played. So if you were to take on b7, rook b8, and pressure on the b2 pawn. So instead he goes knight a4, rook b8, and now the knight jumps to c5, attacking the queen. The queen goes back to c8. So very sort of passive position here for black, but he'll unravel. He'll kick back the knight at some point. He'll move his knight away, play c6. Bishop take. Oh, he simply gave up his bishop pair. He took on c5. Pragg takes back with the rook. I mean, I really like white's position here because of the structure. Very solid. Bishop is nice. Knight can jump in. Rook can come. But black, on the other hand, is asking, what are my issues? I'll just go By the way, Pragg goes queen a3. I'll simply go c6. I'll move my queen away. I'll bring my rook into the game. So he plays pawn to c6 here. And there's something known as the minority attack, which starts with b4. You want to play b5, a6 played to stop the move b5. Because after a move like b5, black is left with a weakness either on d5 or after takes on c6 on c6. So he goes queen b2. Pragg is still pursuing this idea of a4 b5. And Aravindh goes bishop g4. I guess he wants to simply chop off the knight here. a4 by Pragg. Pragg playing very simple chess here. Nothing extravagant, but still managing to put some pressure, and Aravindh takes a bold call. He says that I want to actually trade the bishop for the knight. Pragg takes back. And now the best place for the black knight is to settle down on the d6 square. So he comes queen e6 here. And can Pragg go instantly b5? He does it. Just straight forward. No nonsense approach by Pragg chosen here. Now one way to play here, he takes on b5 instantly. But one way to play was b6. You come back with the rook. I take on b5 and a5. Yes, d5 becomes weak, but I also have a passer. Instead, AB, and rook comes to a5. He comes back bishop e2, defending the pawn. And Aravindh now plays his queen to d6. The queen keeps up the pressure on the c5 rook. And rook to c1. Maybe rook b1 played. Aha. So he's threatening maybe to take, and then the b8 rook would be hanging. So goes queen d8. But still, b takes c6 is possible. Pragg comes to the board. He's trying to think what's the best way for me to put pressure here, and he takes on c6. So here, if you look now, the rook can take the rook. It will spoil a bit of white structure because the c5 pawn will get isolated. But black has two weak pawns. That is b7 and d5. While white has only one weak pawn. I guess it's time to play rook d1. Keeping the pressure here, he goes bishop f3. Playing d4 is a blunder because bishop c6 and you lose a piece here. So that's not possible. Now, full pressure here for Aravindh. He goes rook c8 and he's inviting Pragg to take the pawn, which would be a blunder because of rook b8 and you lose material. So Pragg goes h3. He slightly improves his position. And if you were to play knight to e5 here, I mean, it's just a free piece. So I don't know, queen e7 maybe attacking c5. He goes knight e7. Once again, if you take on b7, I want to take on c5. Rook c5 is the idea. So he goes queen d4. He defends the pawn on c5 and he's now attacking pawn on d5. Rook comes up to c7. And Pragg goes pawn to e4. This actually allows black a very interesting equalizing idea, which is knight to c6. And Aravindh finds it. Pragg must take the pawn. Queen takes pawn. And now, not real, and actually taking the queen Knight e5 runs into rook b5 and white is winning. So you can't take the queen, but rook d7, a good move. Attacking the queen goes back and knight to d4. So Aravindh very smartly has traded off stuff and is telling Pragg that yes, you got a pawn, but on the other hand, my pieces are just very good. I have doubled down the d file, queen takes f3. The c pawn is not so strong, queen c7 maybe. He goes queen g5, putting pressure here. Queen to g4, attacking d7 and g5. He takes, h takes g4. And now rook c7. He's putting pressure here on c5. But Pragg is essentially saying to Aravindh that yes, the engine says it's equal and you can even bring your king in, but I'm a pawn up and I'm a clear pawn up. I can go king f1, king e2, king d3, king c4. Just getting my king into the game. And he's doing it. King f1. King comes up to e7. It will require immense effort from Aravindh to hold this and immense effort from Pragg to win this. I don't know who's going to succeed at the end of this. King e2. He goes king d7. And he plans to settle the king on the c6 square. So king comes up. And now king c4. Black goes rook d7. And he's threatening to come into d2 to attack f2, g2, all these pawns. So it's a good idea to begin with a check on b6. Rook check. King c7. And then rook to b2. He goes rook to d1 here. And Aravindh has managed to keep things under control. King b5 by Pragg. And I wonder how Aravindh would like to continue here. He goes rook e1. Maybe a slightly inaccurate move. Okay, Pragg is going to go f3 now. And you can come back to capture the d file again. What I like is the confidence shown here by Pragg. He knows that he can continue to press this, and a lovely move, rook b4. Because with this move, you are planning to go rook a4 and enter here, but also king c4, king d5, and then block with the rook if needed. So while it might seem from an engine perspective that no progress is being made, Pragg is making some real progress here. Rook a4. He improves his rook. Rook check. Well, that's a mistake. The best move here is king d7. Because to rook a7, you have rook b1, king c4 and rook b2. Somehow holding in. King c4 played. And he goes rook c1 check. And now already Aravindh is winning. Is losing. Pragg is winning. King d5. Rook goes to c2, attacking the g2 pawn. And now rook to a8. You get into the position. And he plays it. Rook a8. Take on g2. And Pragg can basically go rook. Oh, he makes a small error. Rook g8 would have been much better to attack here. But rook f8. And now rook to d2 check. Going back to d7. Maybe Aravindh has some chances to hold this check. Pragg plays his king to e5, and now very important move f6, because after king e6 you have rook f2 attacking here, but Aravindh had 7 minutes on the clock. He comes back and Pragg finds the winning move, rook g8. Beautiful move. If you move the g pawn ahead, my king enters in. Otherwise the g pawn is such a crucial pawn that you will lose. King comes to c6. And now Praggnanandhaa is winning here with rook takes pawn. But what to do? I think this rook endgame was a very, very instructive one, and it has been delightfully played by Pragg until now. Aravindh takes the pawn on c5. His idea is simple, just push the b pawn down the board. King f6 played. b5. And now e5. Pragg is going for a simple plan. f4, f5. He goes king d5 because b4, e6 is already winning. So he goes king d5. f4. Now if you go e6, then rook d6 and it's a draw because king f7, I have rook e6. So that's the reason why he starts with f4, b4, and now he takes the pawn, rook f7, rook takes f7, king takes f7, and e pawn is queening. But black will also queen his pawn. The question is this winning for white or is this a draw? Queen, queen. And the thing here is if queen h7, I go king f8, check, I go king e7 and I try to run away. Queen g1 played. Check here by Pragg. I think Pragg knows it that he is winning this endgame. He just has to play this carefully. Queen check. Queen b5 and now f5 played. Pushing the pawn forward. h5. Aravindh trying to give up material. Pragg says, thank you so much. I have 2 pawns now. Queen check. And now king g6 and f6. Maybe there's queen g1 check again. He goes and gives a check. King f7. Check. Maybe block here. Aravindh gives another check. And we have queen to e6. Well, the checks will continue for a while, but you shouldn't be afraid of checks in the queen endgame. So that's just the nature of this endgame. Checks keep coming, and at some point, you can escape them. Like here, for example, a check will be met with a counter check and a block. So he gives a check from c5. King e8 played. And now he goes king a5 because if there's no check anymore. So king a5, h6 played by Pragg. Queen c7. And step by step, Pragg is making progress with his pawns. On b8. And the king goes back to f7. Pragg being very, very sure there not to blunder something. This is his first win. It's going to be his first win in Vaikanze. And, well, it hasn't been a very easy event for Pragg. Queen c5 check. King g7. And queen g1 check. He plays his king to h8. Queen c5, hoping for some perpetual here. Queen f8 check. But Pragg is like, there's nothing. If you give a check to me on f8, I'll simply go to h7. So queen c3. King h7. Queen c7 played. And now queen g6. Next move, I can go king g8 and make a queen, or king h8 and make a queen. And Aravindh resigns. Pragg scores a win here, his first win. And Aravindh, well, for him, he's still looking out for his first win in Vaikanze. He's right now at the bottom of the table with 2.5 points, with 5 draws, but 4 losses. So not an easy event for the youngster from Chennai. And you can see them. They're analyzing their and Aravindh just showing Pragg certain lines. And Pragg is like, oh my god, I missed that. Not so sure what they were talking about. Maybe if you guys caught it, or if you understood from their hand gestures what he was talking, you can let us know in the comment section. And Pragg and the arbiter speak to each other. And Praggnanandhaa, well, with 4 more rounds to go, he could try and, win few more games and try to reach the top spots. But it's a good beginning for him today. He played a nice game, especially a fine rook endgame. Aravindh, well, he has to wait for his first win in Vaikanze. It's not an easy tournament by any measure.
Pragg, congratulations. It was a long time in the making, but it must be a relief to win this game against Aravindh after a long, long fight.
Yeah, I mean, somehow I haven't been able to score a single win here, but yeah, today I wasn't really expecting to score, to be honest. At some point, I really thought it would be a draw, but then it started to slowly become tricky, and towards the end, I don't know about the rook end game, because once I got my rook active, and it's quite tricky. And also I must have missed like simpler wins towards the end, but okay, at least I didn't screw it up, so at least I managed to keep control, and I managed to do it.
How do you reflect on the first 8 rounds of the tournament? What do you think didn't maybe work out for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just I started with two losses, which is not a great thing, and since then my opponents have also been playing well. So it's not. I didn't really get much chances. So I mean, I was just trying to play my best and see if I'll get any chances. Yeah, I mean, it's not really. It's not really great, but still, I think getting the first win is good.
For sure. And do you think the upcoming candidates tournament might have anything to do with it? Of course, it's always tricky for players who play in the candidates. You want to hide a little bit of prep, but you also want to give your all in this tournament. So how do you balance that?
I don't think it has anything to do with it because I haven't even started preparing. So then it has nothing to do with it. Yeah. So no, it's just that I had. I mean, it's not even that second game was bad. I think it's more like first game was bad, and then second game, Nordic played a really good game. So I mean, then you have 2 losses. Then I mean, you need like some momentum to get into the tournament, which I was not getting. But yeah, I think overall my play is not as bad as the result looks, but hopefully it'll improve towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, you're at -1 round now, which by no means is a terrible result, of course. Are you looking forward to the last 4 games?
Yeah, no, I'm just enjoying playing, and yeah, I just want to give my best and see how the last few runs go.
And a final question. A few weeks ago, Duolingo published this video ad where you were the main character in it. I thought it was such a cool ad. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience of filming that and how it was for you?
No, when you started with last few weeks, I was wondering where you're going. There was
Maybe
just
it's
so
more
many. There was just so many things, so many tournaments I was playing. So, but yeah, it's. I think it was a really fun experience shooting it, and yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think it turned out well. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out.
What did you think when you saw the final result for the first time?
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, it was more more effort from their side, so which clearly showed. I don't think I did. I mean, much effort, but still, yeah, I think it's a great ad.
And I thought you were a great protagonist. Pragg, thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a long day for you. Congrats again on the win and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.